Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank the TEDx team because giving an engineering student a microphone instead of a lab record is a huge leap of faith. Right? Usually, we are busy saying things like, "Sir, the circuit worked yesterday," or "Sir, it's a hardware issue." But today, if this talk doesn't go well, I'd probably say, "Sir, it's a microphone issue." My name is Charitha Challa. I'm a final year electronics and communication engineering student or content writer, and today I'd like to talk about something that no engineering textbook could ever teach me. I want to tell you something that happened a few days ago. When I got selected to speak here today, to stand on this TEDx stage, I told my sister first. She screamed so loudly, for a second I thought she was the one giving the TED talk, not me. My mother was happy for me. Then I told my father. He looked up, he gave a little smile, and he quietly said, "I know you would do this." That's it. 6 words. I took that compliment quietly. I didn't say anything back, I just nodded and walked away. But it stayed with me for days. Because everyone else's reaction was loud, but his was the smallest reaction in the room. And it's the only one I still think about. Imagine this. You're 5-year-old and you ask your father for a toy. He says okay. And you ask for a bicycle, he again says okay. And you ask for school books, college fees, a phone, a laptop. And every time he finds a way. But here's something I've always wondered. When was the last time anyone asked him, "Dad, what do you want?" Because somewhere between paying bills, fixing broken fans, working overtime, and pretending everything is fine, many fathers quietly stop existing as individuals. They become dad. And we mistake that silence for strength. Growing up, I thought my father was simply strong. Nothing seemed to bother him. He never complained. He never said he was scared. He never said he was exhausted. And he never said, "I don't know how we'll manage things." I believed he had all the answers. Until I became older, that's when I realized he didn't always have the answers. He never wanted us to see the questions. As children, we think our parents are superheroes. As teenagers, we think they don't understand us. As adults, we realize they are ordinary people trying to do an extraordinary job. And fathers especially have been taught something dangerous, that love is something that you provide, not something that you express. So they rarely say, "I love you." Instead, they wake up before everyone else, they skip buying things for themselves, they repair instead of replace, and they never bring worries to the dining table. I don't remember every meal we shared together. I don't remember every gift my father bought me. But I do remember when life became uncertain, he somehow made that uncertainty disappear. That's what fathers do. They quietly express love without giving words. Maybe the greatest tragedy isn't that the father's not saying "I love you." It's that we simply never learned how to hear them. Because sometimes "I'll manage" means "I love you." "You take it" means "I love you." "I've already eaten" means "I love you." Sometimes the greatest person in the family is not the one who never cries. It's the one who quietly carries everyone else's tears while hiding his own. I want to show you what that looks like. Not in real life this time, but in a story that broke me open the same way. I have watched House of the Dragons, and there's a scene I remember. I clearly remember it's in season 1, episode 8. For those who haven't seen it, let me set the stage for you. There's a kingdom. The kingdom is divided. Many of the influential gods say that the king, the throne, should pass to King Viserys' eldest son, Aegon, simply because he is a man. But King Viserys had made a promise. He made a promise years earlier that he named his daughter Rhaenyra as his rightful heir. But years later, as he lies on his deathbed, that promise is being challenged. The court gathers, Powerful lords argue, and people are no longer asking who will win. They are asking what is right. Rhaenyra knows what is happening, and she doesn't ask her father to start a war. She asks her father, which is something far more complex. Stand beside me. Now imagine this. A man whose body is failing him, a king who can barely breathe, every step he takes is painful, and everyone expects him to stay in bed. Instead, he rises. He walks into the throne room not because of the politics, but because his daughter needed him. He enters the throne room surrounded by the people trying to replace her, and he reminds of the promise his kingdom made years ago. Later that evening, something even more beautiful happens. The family gathers in the dining table. For a moment, arguments stop, accusations disappear. Children laugh and adults speak to each other. Viserys removes his mask that has hidden his face for so long, and for the first time in a very long time, there's peace on his face. I realized the greatest victory of King Viserys was never protecting the throne. It's protecting his daughter until his last breath. Sometimes the father's final moment is to never leave behind the power. It's to leave behind the peace. After watching this scene, I bawled my eyes out. Not because someone won the throne, not because of the politics, and not even because a king was winning. It's because I stopped seeing King Viserys. I started seeing a father. A father whose body completely failed him, but a promise didn't. A father who stood one last time, not for a throne, but for his daughter. After the episode ended, I wasn't thinking about dragons or kingdoms anymore. I was thinking about my own father. The times he came home exhausted, but I never let us see it. The times he came tired, but never let us notice. The dreams he must have postponed it so that mine could fulfill instead. They say, don't worry, I'll manage, but behind that stood years of sacrifice. Sometimes the greatest fathers doesn't say, I love you. They say, you go, don't worry, chase your dreams. But years later, do we realize they were love letters all along? While I was preparing for the script, I asked my father a question I've never asked him before. I asked him, Dad, what did you want it to become when you were young? He didn't answer immediately. He then smiled and said, I wanted to become a teacher. I was surprised because in all these years, I hadn't taught my father anything other than my father. Then I asked him another question. Dad, then why didn't you become one? And he said, I don't know which path to choose. There was no one to guide me. Then I realized I didn't see my father as a man. I saw my father as a young man who had dreams, who had hope just like I do today, and someone who needed to guide him. That's when the realization struck me. Maybe that's why he didn't never let me walk alone. Because every time I asked him a question, he never said, I don't know. Even if it's completely out of his field, he asked, give me some time. The next day, he comes up with the answer. As a child, I thought my father always had the answer. But today, I know the truth. He didn't always have the answers. He didn't want his daughter to feel the helplessness he once felt. He didn't want me to grow up saying, there was no one to guide me. Instead, he became my guide. He taught me integrity without opening a textbook. He taught me resilience without giving me a single lecture plan. He taught me responsibility. He taught me that family comes first, showing up matters. That's it. Some of these fathers live next door and some change the world. Mahavir Singh Phogat is one of them. Many of us know him through the movie called Dangal. Dangal is an inspiring movie. It tells about Mahavir Singh Phogat and his daughters. Mahavir Singh once dreamed of winning a gold medal for India, but life didn't give him that opportunity. Instead, he made one decision. He wanted his daughter to achieve something even greater. So he woke them before sunrise. He trained them, anyone else can, anyone harder else can. And he, out the world, He stood as a father who was strict, who was harsh, but behind that discipline stood a father who was willing to be misunderstood, even if it meant giving his daughter a future they could be dream of. Years later, when one of his daughters stood in front of the podium winning a gold medal, the world celebrated this success. But behind that medal stood years of sacrifice no one else has applauded for. That's what fathers do. Children eventually realizes the sacrifices. I once heard Steve Harvey say something on television that I've never forgotten. He said, anybody can be a father, but it takes a special man to be a dad. I think that's the whole talk in one sentence. Anybody can be a father, but being one, showing up at 5 a.m. when you can't, saying I'll manage, saying I'll stand up when you can't, willing to be misunderstood when it gives you a future you could be dreamed of. That's the lifetime of choosing one person again and again. Different men, same world, but one motto, someone special. A child never remembers the EMI. They remember they always had a home. A child never remembers the electricity bill. They remember the lights that were always on. A child never remembers the school bills. They remember the classrooms they walk into. That's what fathers do. They wanted us to remember the comfort while they remember the cost. So before you leave this room, I want to ask you something simple. I want you to talk with your father. If they are still here, say what they mean to you. Not someday, but this week. If they are no longer here, honor them by carrying forward the same love they have given you. If your story is entirely different, if the person in your story is not your father at all, then this gratitude belongs to them. Because every life is changed by a person who quietly carried the forward. Thank you.